So welcome everyone. Kisa Kukit, Kia ora. Welcome. I'm so excited to be with you all here to share how we can leverage the amazing talent within our post-secondary institutions to support the challenges we have across our beautiful Kootenay region. For those who I haven't had the pleasure of meeting thus far, I'm Robin Peel. I'm the Community Economic Development Manager with Community Futures East Kootenay. And today is a total team effort. There's going to be a number of presentations and presenters sharing their knowledge with you. We're hoping that that presentation part is going to be about 35 minutes long, leaving at least 25 for us to have a really solid discussion together about how do we work together to support each other, to leverage the amazing humans that exist within our post-secondary institutions, both students and staff, and how do we do that to overcome some community challenges that are happening around our region. I am joining today from, it's a beautiful sunny day in Kootenays, so it's the land of the raven here in the Elk Valley. If you want to mention the chat where you're calling from, it's just always nice to know who you are and where you are coming from today. For those who don't know about the Innovate for Impact project, that's where this kind of workshop's coming from. It's a partnership between Community Futures East Kootenay and Impact Toolbox, but supporting the whole Kootenay region to look at how we advance social enterprise development across the whole area. And we have funding through the Ministry of Jobs and Economic Growth from the BC province. And as a result, this whole program is free. So workshops are free. I'm going to go to the next slide so you can see as well. We have workshops, we have communities of practice, we have incubation programs, we have summits, we have hackathons, all of these, we have youth programs, which I know some of you are part of as well. And all those offerings are free at the moment, thanks to funding from the Ministry of Jobs and Education through the Rural Economic Diversification and Infrastructure Program, and for that we are truly thankful. If you haven't been to anything on Innovate for Impact before, just know that we are all about growing social entrepreneurship, and these are lots of different ways that we are doing it. And I would highly recommend, if you haven't already, you can scan that QR code and be kept up with updates on what's happening, because again, there's always so much going on that if you scan that, you'll get to an update list and you can say what programs you're interested in. I'm also just going to put in the chat, there's also a link to the MailChimp sign up form there. Either way, I just think it's really great for us to know ways that we can support each other with these programs. And I truly believe that when we are looking at local challenges and we all work together, we can really create strong and resilient communities. Because the Innovate for Impact is around social enterprise, I just want to make sure we're kind of all on the same page with what social enterprise means. And to me, it's an organization that is seeking to achieve social, cultural, environmental aims, but doing that through the sale of goods and services. So it's around using the principles of entrepreneurship and for-profit practices, but with that kind of public benefit. That's something that the organization is socially sustainable, financially sustainable, and environmentally sustainable. And for me, the biggest focus of social enterprises is on the impact they make in communities. So kind of what difference does this organization make to the town or the community that they live in? And that's kind of the context that we're talking about today. But I know that for a number of you, you might not be here to, oh, goodness gracious, Robin. You may not be here because you want to talk about social enterprise. You just might want to talk about communities. So know that this is still for you, that we are here to talk about how we leverage the benefit. For me, the focus always on these discussions is around how do we use our local skills to make that change. And so I think we all can agree that wherever community we're sitting in at the moment, there are some pretty systemic challenges affecting us. Labour shortages, housing, childcare, infrastructure, just to name a few. You might be working on something a bit different, but those local responses will require us to work together across silos, using the best brains and passion that we have. And that's really what I want to get to today, more than just necessarily about focusing on that social enterprise. So today we're going to be looking at how we work together with our colleges. So we've got College of the Rockies here and Selkirk, so the two colleges within our communities to support that community change and how we leverage for-profit, non-profit, government, academic, whatever hat you're wearing, volunteer, passionate community member to ensure that our communities thrive and making sure we can do that for the benefit of all. And so with that, I'm going to hand over to Jessica from Selkirk College and Rhonda from College of the Rockies to kind of frame a little bit to start with regarding what work integrated learning is, because it's kind of the focus we're looking at today is what are the ways that we can use our students through the work integrated learning lens and the ways it can help with community building. So take it away, Jessica and Rhonda.
Hello, my name is Jessica Adrian. I am from Selkirk College in Castlegar, BC. We also serve learners in Nelson and Trail and Grand Forks. Um, are we sharing the slides right now?
Yeah, you can see, can you see them?
I cannot, but that's okay as long as everyone else can. So, what is Will? So, will is basically anytime there's hands-on learning. So, if students are connecting the classroom to real-world experience, then that is where we have a will experience. So, will stands for work integrated learning. So, one thing employers sometimes ask is how is that different from just a normal student hire. And basically, the biggest difference is that there is that institution or the post-secondary connection. So there's the student, there's the employer, and then there's also the post-secondary school to support you. So typically, a will experience is embedded into the curriculum or the program in some way, which means it's going to have general outcomes, things that the student needs to learn throughout the process, and you'll also have additional supports through the post-secondary institution.
And next slide. So there's many types of will of work integrated learning at both of our schools, and employers are often confused about how they can partner with us. I think the biggest message we want to say, sorry, I'm Rhonda Sheridan, Co-op and Employment Services at College of the Rockies. I'm one of two coordinators. My colleague Jen Smith could not be here. I've met some of you and would love to work with you. So again, going back to Will, sorry about that. The biggest takeaway I want you guys to have today is if you have an idea, you want to leverage support from the college or partnerships, please reach out to Jessica or myself, and you don't have to remember all these things, and we will find a way to try to work together. So one of the types of will is community and industry research projects. This is where we get involved with the community members or research. For some examples, we have going on a really exciting project with Spark Youth Center in Kimberley. One of our business instructors is actually mentoring the youth leaders there on how to run their business. They're running a youth cafe and we'll be running a store down the road. So our youth, our instructor and some of our college students will be mentoring those young leaders. So that's just an example of one project. Co-op is a big one for both of our institutions. At College of the Rockies, it is it's optional, so the students are gaining 1 credit for a prep course and they're gaining 3 credits for co-op work term, which ours run May through August in between 2 years of study for diploma students or any year of study for our BBA students. Um, Internships, you've probably heard about these. They're an opportunity. We don't have them at the college right now, but we're looking at having them. These can happen usually throughout the year, and it's an opportunity to mentor a student at your work site and get help with some projects. Other items we have field placements and work experiences and practicums. Those all go to hand in hand with our health and human service areas, and they're built into the program. And then we have apprenticeship built into our trades programs, and then what we're talking today that we'll get into more entrepreneurship and service learning and how we can support you there. Any questions? I know I went through that fast.
Can I just highlight one thing I think is really important here as well is um, these wonderful humans, Jessica and Rhonda and Jen, will help you no matter what. So get in touch with them and start the partnership and the relationship before, if as Rhonda said, even if you don't understand all those different concepts, they do and they can help you.
One thing I did forget to mention is that we do have a platform called Ripen where you might have a side project, marketing or research, something you would love to do but don't have the manpower, or you're looking for some fresh ideas. If you reach out to me, I can give you the marketplace. You can post your project there. We can talk about your projects too, and you can decide whether you want to connect with students at one of our colleges or put it out to the general all colleges across Canada. And what happens is hopefully a teacher will match with you, and then the course, your project will be embedded in their coursework, so that you're getting free, it's all free for employers, free support, and the students are getting experience, hands-on learning that they can use when they leave college and go into the workforce. So, like, what our students bring is enthusiasm, new ideas, new perspectives, new course knowledge. We can work with you to talk about what might be a good fit for you, how big of a project you want with it. And if we don't have all the answers, we connect you with those people that do. So we also have access to wage subsidy lists. If you're an employer in social services, for instance, that's usually a big barrier. There's lots and lots of wage subsidies out there, and we can provide you some resources on those. And our teams can help you get matched with the right students. So we really want to, a big focus of work integrated learning is establishing those community partnerships and really leveraging our talent and keeping them here where possible. So you're investing in potentially future employees, and we're trying to keep these students in our area after they graduate where possible and get them involved with innovative companies such as your own.
I'm going to move over to the slide with these wonderful people's contact details. Anything else, Jessica, you want to add to that thus far?
No, I think the biggest thing is you don't need to know exactly what the partnership is going to look like. We're happy to guide you through that. So if you have an idea or if you have a need, just feel free to reach out and we're happy to work with you and the relevant instructor to see if there is a possible connection. Because anytime we can get our students into the community in a quality way, we do see a lot of value in that.
And one thing I will send around the slides afterwards, so you'll have all their contact details as well. Or if you can take that down, the information down now, there it is there. One thing we were just talking about before is partnerships take time. So don't, you ring up today and hope that you're going to have a student in there tomorrow working with you. So please reach out and have those partnerships starting to form so that the work integrated learning teams understand your needs and can help you long term. We're now going to hand over to Becky, who's from College of the Rockies, who's a program coordinator and lecturer there. So, Becky, all yours.
Yeah, hello, Kisa Kukit, everyone. Thanks for having me. Can you hear me okay? Great. All right. Well, I'm incredibly biased because I have seen and experienced both on the industry side of things as well as being embedded in sort of like the academic world, just like the power of doing this together, right? Students unfold, our communities unfold, everything get stronger together. So yeah, I'm Becky. I'm the program coordinator with College of the Rockies for the Sustainable Business Programs. We have diplomas in accounting, general management, what else? Marketing, and we also have a 4-year BBA program. We've recently signed on to the Sustainable Development Goals, and I'm also the chair of the Sustainability Committee. So I'm also a social entrepreneur. So I really believe in this. So I'm going to sort of walk through the benefits, why we do this, and then a few examples of how this works, right? So, you know, students who are engaged in WIL opportunities, they increase their graduate employability. In fact, I would say 30% is low for our region. These are sort of like national statistics. Anecdotally, almost every single one of my students that does a co-op or engages in some sort of work integrated learning opportunity, their chances and their employability hiring rates and where they land on the, let's call it the ladder, is much higher than their other student counterparts. Employer retention is strengthened, and just like overall the innovation capacity. And Robin talked about forming long-term relationships, and that's really, really, really important in this process. And I'll kind of give some examples of how that can work, because it's an ecosystem. We're creating a web that needs to be really strong. So for us at the College of Rockies, certainly within the business program, it's the long-term relationships. And Sophie's going to talk very in about 5 minutes here about kind of how this unfolding takes place over time and how you can do just something better and stronger as you're working away at it together over time, right? It's that institutional knowledge. It's that relational capacity, that social capacity alongside that enterprise strength. So we'll keep going here. Just very quickly, we know that social enterprises, nonprofits, they operate very lean, right? So students can really fill those gaps. Lean into us. So I'll keep going. WIL can really help retain talent in rural areas. I'm seeing this real time, right? So those students that are engaging in work integrated learning opportunities locally have more heart within their community. They're not, I've even seen students, because we have a 2-year diploma and we have these 4-year degrees. Students are always like, especially if they're from the Kootenays, oh, in year 3, I'm gonna, go to UBC, I'm gonna go to ULETH, I'm gonna go here, there, and everywhere. When they're engaging in real world opportunities in their diploma, they stay. We want that. The region needs that. So it is really important that we're all engaging together. Keep going. Strengthening social innovation. I don't know everything, and young brains certainly know a lot more than me, and they have a lot more energy and passion. And so just from a practical sense, this statistic makes sense to me, right? They do bring research skills. They're not going to be top notch, but they're going to be really good at refining research questions. Their digital literacy, better than mine, and this new energy, right? It drives that real community impact. Sophie's going to show what this looks like, and you'll see what I mean by this one. So it can be really transformative in our small communities. I really like this one because, Rhonda talks about the subsidies and things. And I think it's really great when our organizations are like, Columbia Basin Trust when they were, and some of these other organizations that really invest in our students, because it does support in the outcome, right? There's multiplier effects when we invest in these work integrated learning placements, not only with our time, but also with some cash as well. You're more likely to be more innovative, adopt new technology, new business models. It's just going to up your game. Yes, it requires some time investment to start, but over the long haul, the ecosystem and the benefits really do start to compound. I've seen this real time in my own work in the private sector, in particular with First Nations economic development. We'll keep going. Yeah, it is economic development, right? There is this high dependence on volunteers, these, one-off programs and things, this limited research, marketing, innovation. But as I said, it can really sort of flip that around and gain that capacity and, innovative outcomes long term. Keep going. Yeah, we'll just keep going. I think I've rah championed this. Let's see what it looks like. I like starting with this one. So at the College of the Rockies, we integrate in with small projects, small initial. I don't like to call them projects because I don't feel that it's fully, yes, there's a timeline to it, but it's an initiative to kind of like build onto something bigger. Right. So we do within the social enterprise landscape, we do everything from international collaboration. So we have students working with students, we call it COIL, Collaborative Online Interactive Learning. And then two, we've also started to try to do this in a small way within marketing classes to kind of build on businesses that are looking at going global or collaborating globally, especially in like the tourism sense or like experience economy, these types of things. So just like an example, like students worked between College of the Rockies in Jamaica, College of the Rockies in Andorra to kind of like design experiences between them that would make sense. There's been some like nutritional advising. So like there's lots we can do even if we're looking at creating social impacts outside of our region as well, which can be part of some of our social mandates of what we do. We'll keep going. Wildlife and environmental organization support, it is a lot of these environmentally focused organizations that quite frankly know how to hustle and are innovative in attracting diverse funding and resources. So it can be really great partnering with these organizations because they understand that these things take time. They understand how to do micro projects, right? So we've done everything from contributing to food security strategies, not only for students, but within the region as well. Done program evaluations. Like these are things we always know in a nonprofit or social enterprise we need to do. We need to impact assess. We need to measure. These are great micro projects. And then impact communications. I've seen a recent project that our marketing group did, and actually one of our marketing class this year is going to be working with the Spark Youth Center in Kimberley. And it's really interesting what they're kind of cooking up because young people have really interesting ways that they can get like impactful messages across. So yeah, marketing projects, micro evaluations, these types of things are great for those smaller projects. We have like a really significant, we're trying to build on it with organizations like CORE. So one of our students, I think this is a good time to do a little bit of a shout out for our Bachelor of Business Administration. We do a 3-semester capstone. I don't know if Robin, you're going to talk about that a little bit more, but and these students are very good at research, very good at planning, very good at piloting projects. And many of the BBAs actually across the province are like, we can't believe you have a 3-semester capstone because you can do a lot in 3 semesters. You can form a long-term relationship. And this is just a great example of a project that one of our students did, but they did the market research around the Rehab program. And if you've seen that program, it's where you can bring in your gear to get it manufactured, but there's a lot of business strategy behind that placement. We have 80,000 people in the East Kootenays here. Okay, well, what is the market demand for us? What kind of facility are we going to need? So we had a student do this, and actually Kevin with CORE has now taken that work and put in quite a significant grant application to kind of leverage the work that student did. And some of our students have done prototype testing with some of the gear that has been manufactured through CORE and some of their members. So yeah, really neat things from big projects to just small hands-on learning. And I think there's one more here. Yeah, this is a nice sort of segue into seeing kind of the bigger picture about how some of these micro projects can build up, because I think Sophie's going to talk just after me. But there's a reason why like me as being a real champion of work integrated learning, student service learning, hands-on learning, and being the chair of the sustainability committee, there's just so much you can do under the sustainability lens, right? So zero waste pilot projects we've done. Shout out to Sophie. The students this year actually implemented a mug library. We've never had a mug library, right? So we've always just, thrown away our mugs from the cafeteria. But they did everything from policy development, signage, how are we going to tell people about this? How are we going to actually get those mugs? Risk management, how are we going to get people to wash the mugs? Something as simple as that within your organization, our students would love to be a part of. One of our BBA students did the whole feasibility for a commercial composter at the campus. And then our sustainability, not our ops director went out and got the capital funding for that. So now we have a commercial composter. The students developed, because we have an issue with our student clubs, right? It seems like they rotate every year. Well, every year now we've embedded into one of our classes to do new student recruitment and club development, so that we're sort of like also embedding into long-term capacity building within our institution. And then we do hands-on learning with community events, volunteerism, reflection, supporting in building new events. So these are all really great opportunities that we love to form long-term relationships on. So I hope that gives a little bit of inspiration. A lot of this is scoping. Micro projects build on mega projects. And this would be a cool project to actually map out the research of some of these impacts, because I think it's been significant. I've seen millions of dollars as a result of these. And actually, this is making me feel a little bit better, because sometimes it feels like a grind that you're not sort of like getting through, but sometimes just like reflecting on some of the small wins, you can see how they do really add up to the bigger wins. So hey, I've inspired myself today. I hope I've inspired everybody else here with us today. It's nice to meet you all. I'll pop my email address again in the chat.
Thank you so much, Becky, too, about all the ways that we can share. And we now have Sophie from the Cranbrook Urban Farm to talk about. I mean, she wears many hats, so she can probably talk about lots of things. But one thing she's going to talk about here anyway is how she used a student to support the work at the Cranbrook Urban Farm.
Thanks, Robin. So before I get too deep into telling you about our salad outreach program and our experience with work integrated learning, I kind of have to put it into context of where the urban farm sits. So I'm Sophie. I work for Community Connection Society, which is a social nonprofit based in Cranbrook. And my colleagues and I deal with all things food, so food security, food systems, and all our work really started from a public produce garden in which we want the community to grow more food locally, teach people how to grow their own food. From there, we built Cranbrook Food Recovery, which recovers edible but not sellable food from local grocery stores 364 days a year and redistributes it. And this was an awesome project, but a lot of the food we are pulling in needs to be used right away. So then we started a community meal program. We have a chef who takes a lot of that recovered food and turns it into meals. But we recognized we were still kind of missing a big chunk. We get in a lot of produce, but as I mentioned, it's at the very end of its life and it's not very pretty. We also recognize that when there's weather interruptions or those unprecedented weather events, that not only is the food that we recover disappeared, but all the grocery store shelves are small as well. And so it really brought up food security as a bigger issue in our community. How could we grow more food locally? So next slide, we decided that we would start working on a project where we could grow food for our community all season round. And as Becky was mentioning, the partnerships that are how important partnerships are. This project has WildSite, College of the Rockies, Interior Health, agrologists, all sitting at the table working on this idea of a hydroponic controlled environment growing facility. So through a lot of granting, a lot of work, we started the Cranbrook Urban Farm. Next slide. So this is a controlled environment, and we control the temperature, the humidity, the lights. The greens are stacked one on top of another, so we are taking up much less space in order to grow. And because it's a controlled environment, we are resilient to any kind of climate problems that we might have. We can also grow year round. So our farm operates the opposite of most farms you think of because we shut down in the summer. It doesn't make sense to grow indoors when you can actually grow outdoors. The nice part is, though, that when we can't grow outdoors, we can have this reliable food that is grown right in our community. The shelf life of this product is pretty insane compared to what we see at food recovery, because kale that we harvested in November is still edible today. And so it really highlights how the storage and the transport and all the steps that are part of the process before it gets to your plate impact the storability. So we're reducing food waste on numerous different levels. Okay, so now I want to talk about our actual experience. We're running the farm as a social enterprise, so we are selling as much lettuce as we need to pay for the operational costs. But because we're a social enterprise, we're really trying to have social impact, and that part is getting greens out to those that need it and who might not be able to afford it. But we were, as I think Becky was mentioning, we run very lean. We have one staff and a bunch of volunteers, and we can't always check off all the boxes. We were getting lots of lettuce to the food bank and to various food support agencies, but we were recognizing that the unhoused population who really could use a nutritional boost in their diet wasn't able to use these grocery products that require kitchen facilities and a bunch of other ingredients to go with it. So this was the start of our work integrated learning with Caitlin. And so she developed an outreach pilot that we ran last summer. So that should be 2025, not 2024. And we were able to have Caitlin for 230 hours. She worked with us through May and June. And we had a huge team that helped with this project. It was a huge partnership. And next slide, please. So Caitlin would go to the farm, she would harvest lettuce, she would come back to Food Recovery, one of our partners, add ingredients to make these beautiful salads. So for 4 weeks, once a week, she would make 30 salads and then partner with the community outreach nurse to go to the encampment. And they would pass out these salads to unhoused individuals. And it wasn't just a salad. And this is where we really realized how valuable this project was, is that the project was bigger than we had even imagined. So not only did the health outreach nurses comment on the humility and appreciation of the population that is usually getting missed but needs it the most. So did our student, recognizing how valuable the project was to her. And even though we only ran it for 4 weeks, we also had RCMP stop by the farm just to tell us the value and the impact that the project was having. Next slide, please, Robin. So Caitlin was able to distribute 30 salads once a week for 4 weeks. And she focused on recipes that were really increasing nutrition, particularly in fiber and protein. Now, the outreach team also has a whole slew of shelf-stable products that they are passing out, but they're usually shelf-stable, so they're high in sugar, not fresh, lower in nutrients. And as I was mentioning, this really helped to increase the partnerships across the different organizations that are trying to support that unhoused population. So as I was mentioning, the pilot really exceeded what we expected, not only on the impact, but also in the amount of work that it took. But we're very excited to do it again. And we hope that this is an example for anyone out there who's thinking about it, that the impact and the value of work integrated learning experience is significant.
Thank you so much, Sophie. And it's, I'm sure, from both sides, right? From your side and from the student side. I think that's the most important thing. It's kind of win-win for everyone, and I'm sure for, well, and even the people who got the food even more so. So thank you so much for that. Um, I hope this has been inspiring. We're going to move now to kind of a discussion point, and this is really what I would love to kind of know a bit more about. What interests you about this, and what are the things that you're working on that you could potentially use some student support on, or who else could you partner with, either within this community or wider, to share that? And we'll get into that shortly. One of the things I just want to really highlight again is this Innovate for Impact program is really around creating a movement and a change and transforming the Kootenays. And a part of that is who we work with and how we work with them. And working with our post-secondary institution is a key part of our Innovate for Impact. College of the Rockies and Selkirk are key partners for us. There are students in entrepreneurship and business, as Becky mentioned, that are looking for capstone projects or research opportunities or social enterprise projects for their coursework. And you are out there probably going, I could really use some extra support. And this is the uniqueness we can bring you together, and magic happens. Again, reach out to Rhonda or Jessica if you've got something, or if you've got some smaller projects, you're like, I just need someone for like a couple of days here or a week here, and you don't think you've got like enough for a necessarily longer, you can also reach out to me if it's a social enterprise. As part of the Innovate for Impact project, we, Community Futures East Kootenay, are going to be employing what we're calling student consultants. So I'll put if you know any students who would want to do this, I'm going to put it in the chat. You can see the job description. To start with, there's going to be a summer position. So from May to August, we will employ someone for up to 500 weeks. So 2 people for up to 500 weeks. And the aim is that they're going to go out and work with social enterprises across the Kootenay region to strengthen business plans, marketing, anything that you're working on. We will hopefully have a student to support you with that. But I need to know your ideas. So once I've got these students working for me, I need to be able to go and send them out to you to help you. Obviously, we're doing the employment, there is no cost to you, but I do need to have an idea of a project, and you need to be obviously a key partner and being a great employer and supporter with them too. So I'm going to put my email in the chat too, in case you don't know my contact details as well. Reach out to me if you've got any ideas. Oh, sorry, 500 hours, not 500 weeks. Thank you. I'd love to have them for 500 weeks, 500 hours. If you have any ideas of smaller projects you want to work with, let me know, because I'd love for us to have these student consultants really working within the community.